All right, today we're going to break down a short story that is just wow. It's called If the End of the World Could Talk. And on the surface, it's this kind of coming-of-age tale, but underneath, it's all about empathy, the casual cruelty we're all capable of, and maybe most importantly, the secret battles people are fighting that we know nothing about. And listen to this for an opening line. Just listen. The story kicks off, boom, right away. It just hooks you. You can't help but think, wait, where is the end of the world? And, what in the world happened there? It sets up this amazing mystery right from the get-go.
Okay, so first things first, let's talk about the setting. This place, World's End, it's not just a backdrop. It's pretty much a character in itself. And it's absolutely key to understanding why everyone, especially the kids, act the way they do.
So, the end of the world. It's not some made-up fantasy place. Nope, it's real. It's Venice, Louisiana. And our narrator, Sage, she paints this picture of it as, like, the very last town you hit before you fall right into the Gulf of Mexico. It's this place that feels like it's literally clinging to the edge of the map.
And yeah, life there, it's just as isolated as you'd imagine. I mean, you've got tough work on oil rigs or shrimp boats. The cell service is a joke. So for the kids, boredom is king. And it's this feeling of being cut off from everything that leads them to make their own fun. And a lot of the time, that fun involves, bothering people.
So all this boredom, this restlessness, it's got to go somewhere, right? Well, it finds a target. And that brings us to the real heart of the story's mystery. This man who just wouldn't speak, Mr. Thibault. So this quiet, older shrimper, Mr. Thibault, shows up in town, and he immediately becomes the center of their universe. The kids latch onto him, and their new favorite game? You guessed it, try to make Mr. Thibault speak. To them, he's this total puzzle, and they just can't resist trying to solve it.
At first, it's pretty innocent stuff. Kind of goofy, actually. They're just kids, right? They're guessing his first name, and the narrator's little brother comes up with gems like duty or tuna. It's just harmless, childish speculation.
But it doesn't stay innocent for long. That fun little game quickly turns into something a lot crueler. The silly guesses become these relentless taunts. They're just yelling stuff at him, trying to get any kind of reaction. And pay attention to that last one. What, did someone cut off your tongue or something? Because that's the one that gets a response. That's the one that makes him shake his head.
And this moment right here, it just perfectly captures how disconnected they are. He actually tries to respond. He opens his mouth, but only these strange sounds come out. And Caroline, one of the kids, just yells, "I don't understand," which is really the tragedy of the whole story, isn't it? They see him struggling, but they just can't compute what's actually happened.
Okay, so while all this is going on with Mr. Thibault, the story does something really clever. It starts weaving in this other storyline that seems totally unrelated at first. But trust me, it's crucial. We shift gears and focus on our narrator, Sage, and this one summer that's a total game changer for her.
So this is the summer where Sage starts looking at her friend Beau differently. You know that feeling? The guy who used to just give her high fives suddenly has, in her words, softer eyes and a muscular back. He goes from just being a friend to being, sexy. It's that classic head-spinning moment when you cross the line from kid to teenager. And of course, with this new crush comes all the new anxieties. She's thinking about kissing, and specifically about how your tongue gets involved. And the thought just about makes her sick. Now, this detail, it's so important. The author is planting a seed here, making the tongue a central theme, tying it to all that awkward, curious teenage energy.
But then it happens. He kisses her, and all that fear just melts away and turns into, discovery. She actually likes it. And just like that, for Sage, the tongue becomes this thing of connection and pleasure and growing up. It's this really sweet, personal moment. But it's also setting up a contrast that is absolutely devastating.
So the story lets us live in this warm, fuzzy, first kiss world with Sage for a minute.
And then it just rips the rug out from under us. We get yanked right back to the main mystery, and the shift in tone is jarring.
Yeah, this line just hits you like a ton of bricks. So simple, but so final. He's just gone. And look, in a tiny town like this, when someone disappears, it's a big deal. The game is officially over. And now there's a real question that needs a real answer.
So the question on everyone's mind is, what happened to Mr. Thibault? These kids, who spent a whole summer pestering this guy, are now staring at his empty space. This isn't a game anymore. And then they find out. The local bar owner, Mr. Carrier, drops the bomb. The truth is just absolutely staggering. Mr. Thibault has cancer. In his mouth. In his tongue. His silence, it wasn't him being weird or mean. It was an illness. And that one thing they yelled at him, that awful, cruel question about his tongue being cut off, turns out it was closer to the literal truth than they could have ever imagined.
And right after that reveal, the story cuts to Beau, who's just horrified. He says, "I can't imagine my tongue not working." And wow, the irony is just crushing. Because for him and Sage, the tongue had just become this source of joy, of connection. And in a single second, they're slammed with the reality that for someone else, that same exact thing is the source of incredible pain and suffering.
This whole moment, this is what the story's really about. This is the gut punch that brings us to its core message. It's the reason this story sticks with you, you know? It just doesn't let go. Mr. Carrier basically says it out loud for them and for us reading it. He tells them, you have to be careful what you say to people. Why? Because you never know what kind of secret hell they're going through. That's the lesson, learned in the absolute hardest way. That behind what we see on the surface, people can be fighting these incredible, invisible battles.
And that, right there, is the genius of this story. It takes these two plot lines that seem totally separate, Sage discovering love and pleasure, and Mr. Thibault enduring silent pain, and it ties them together with one single powerful symbol, the tongue. It's just a masterclass in showing how the very same thing can be a source of life's biggest joys for one person and its deepest pain for another.
And the story doesn't let us off the hook. It ends with this really haunting thought from Sage. She's thinking about how Mr. Thibault kept smoking and chewing tobacco, things that probably caused his cancer in the first place. And she lands on this really bleak idea, that maybe when you're living at the end of the world, literally and figuratively, maybe you just stop caring if you live or die. It leaves us with this chilling final question. How can we possibly judge someone's choices when we have no idea what their personal, secret hell is really like?